The James Show Podcast.
In a story that doesn't even sound real, did you hear about the guy that got shot by the cops in Grand Prairie? This is a strange one. This is a situation that we don't get a whole lot of these stories, but the fact that it's local also adds a little bit of, I don't want to say fun to it, but it makes it something a little more relevant when it happens in your own backyard. And so what I kind of get from the gist of this story, as weird as it may be, is cops got a call, and for some reason they got the wrong address. So they go to some house at like 1:30 in the morning, beating on the door, and the guy doesn't answer immediately. Understandably so. It's not like he's in there committing crimes. It looks like he's just hanging out, doing what we all do at 1:30 in the morning. Sleep. That's it. Sleep. And so the cops are getting kind of perturbed. And when the garage door starts to open, the cops can see the silhouette of a man holding a gun. And I don't know the details about who drew what first, or he went to put it down and who, whatever. But there ended up being a cop that shot the guy. He's going to survive. He drops his gun, and that's sort of it. Now, Casey on the morning show, the mid-morning show, was really stuck on the idea that this guy might catch charges. And rightfully so. That's wild that this guy could get in trouble for getting shot by the cops. But look, I wasn't there. I don't know all the specifics. But if the story that was spelled out on WFAA.com turns out to be true, well, it doesn't sound like the guy did anything wrong. I hadn't seen the video evidence. I'm sure we'll get body cam at some point, and we'll have to revisit this when it comes out. But this is a wild setup here, because there's a whole group of people out there who pretend like they are really concerned about police violence. They're really concerned about unaccountable cops shooting innocent men who've done nothing wrong. And there's big concern about the cops who go around shooting innocent men who've done nothing wrong and not getting put in jail for it, not getting any criticism for it. Hell, it goes around celebrated. But I noticed these same people aren't complaining about this shooting. Look out the windows. Anybody blocking the street right now? I'm downtown. There's no one blocking anything down here. Anybody go to the airport today? Did they block the entrance to Love Field like they tried to do before? No. What about the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge over here? They like to block that every once in a while, even though no one uses it. Just gives the news something to report. Get some free pub. Nothing about that. Are they going to do a profile on MSNBC tonight? Are you going to hear about it on Rachel Maddow's show? Is Joy Reid going to do a segment on it on whatever streaming platform she's been relegated to? What makes this one different? For the people that were so concerned about cops shooting and or killing innocent men, they were so concerned about it. They had to riot for months. They were so concerned about it. They rioted if it was Trayvon. They rioted if it was Michael Brown. They rioted for Freddie Gray. They rioted for what was that? The guy Eric Garner, and of course for George Floyd. Where are you now? And I'm asking these questions, of course, sarcastically. Of course, you can hear the smarm in my voice, because I don't even have to say it. You know what the answer is, and you know why they don't care about this one. I'll say it. Newsflash. The guy that got shot, white. I don't care about that. So what does that mean? That means they don't really care about police brutality. They don't really care about defunding the police. They don't really care about cops being held accountable for shooting innocent people. They don't really care about that if they only care if it happens to a black person. Their driving motivation, their animating principle isn't justice for misbehaving cops. Their animating principle, and they're demonstrating it every second they're not rioting over this guy. Their animating principle is anti-white racism. Their animating principle is to take and put this terrible version of the world out there so low-thinking people can believe it. There's low-thinking people out there, no-thinking people out there who were told, the Hunter's laptop's Russian disinformation, and they believed it. They were told, you got to put on this mask and follow the stickers on the floor, we're all going to die, and they believed it. They're being told right now, Charlie Kirk's racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, terrible human being, deserve to die, and they believe it. You see them. They're losing their jobs every day for believing these lies. But if you only care about police brutality if it happens to one certain race, then you don't really care about police brutality. You just care about the race part. If you rioted or complained or made social media posts or a foam core sign and stood out in the street and raised all kinds of hell about any of these other police brutalities incidences, but not this one, you're either actively a racist and selectively being outraged to foment racial tension, which is a pretty bad look on your part, or you're an easily led dupe. Take your pick. If I was really concerned about misbehaving cops, if that really was, and if I thought, just misbehaving cops, yeah, that might disproportionately affect my community, but even when it affects other communities, it's still newsworthy. The fact that this story is overlooked just kind of breaks my heart. It was an accident. The 911 auto-populated the wrong address on a police call, and so 1:30, 1:45 in the morning, a bunch of cops go to a wrong house. They beat on the door. It takes him a while because he's asleep, and really he doesn't even hear he says he doesn't hear the cops. He heard the dogs, and then when he checked the driveway, he saw two sets of legs standing in the driveway, so I guess he just had a partial view. He grabs his gun, goes in the garage, raises the garage door. Cops see the gun. He sees that it's cops, so he puts his gun down. They start shooting. Now, he only gets hit in the leg, and he'll survive. But what a terrible mistake, and what a terrible bias that we've uncovered here. Because this is a situation where the cops are quite clearly in the wrong. Not only was this guy not a criminal, not only was he not in the act of a crime, not only was he not an actionable threat to any cops here, but the cops squeezing off rounds. We're lucky he didn't die. We're lucky the bullets didn't go through the wall into the master bedroom and shoot the guy's wife. This is kind of the fantasy case that they pretend happens when it's Michael Brown, or when it's George Floyd, or when it's Trayvon Martin, or when it's Eric Gardner. Here's a guy who actually was innocent. Michael Brown wasn't innocent. Michael Brown had just robbed a gas station. Eric Garner didn't deserve to die for his crime, but he was selling loose cigarettes and trespassing after he was asked to leave. You know about George Floyd up and down. Here we have a chance to actually have a discussion about cops and the terrible pressure they're under, and how even if you have, a job with all the best training and equipment and whatever, mistakes are going to happen because it's a human endeavor. But no, we're not allowed to have that conversation. We're only allowed to have that conversation if the victim's black. We're only allowed to have that conversation if it makes white people look bad, or if it makes America look bad, or right-wingers look bad. The cops can even be black. You remember in the Freddie Gray, the one that happened in Baltimore? Out of the 6 cops that arrested them, I believe 4 of them were black. So it's not even a 100% anti-white thing. It's just whatever furthers the narrative, and they're exploiting race to do it. And the fact that they ignore this story, they're not going to riot, they're not going to go loot a Foot Locker. Oh, I thought that's how you got justice when cops misbehave. That's not. Oh, that's just all political. We got it. We understand. This is Russell and Tyler. You're on WBAP.
Good afternoon, James. I used to listen to you in Waco on KWTX.
Oh, wow. Look at you. And you're in Tyler now?
Yes, sir. Well, life changes.
Well, that's where I'm at, too. So your thoughts on this one, Russell?
Like I told your man, I am so tired of the black and white race card. I don't care what it is. I'm tired of it in this society. 20 years ago, I don't think there was a problem. And then somehow or another, we got a, quote, black president. And it's like since then, it's been all hell across the country. Let's provoke the blacks. Let's provoke the whites. Let's provoke the Mexicans. Let's provoke the whites again. I'm just sick and tired of it. I mean, God created us all equally, and we're supposed to be getting along equally. And race should not be part of it. It's a human being. Yes, it's a mistake. I mean, we all make mistakes. We're humans. And the media, and I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about the liberal media that puts all this BS out there to provoke Americans against each other. And that's all it is.
Well, I hate it because I'm always the bad guy, and they're doing this so black people in society are skeptical of me. They're skeptical of, me based on my skin tone. They're skeptical of my ideology. They're skeptical of my politics. They want them to be skeptical of my religion. They want them to be skeptical of my gun rights. And all of this is just aimed against me. It's not just that it's racist and it's kind of base and animalistic and sick and collectivist. It's that I'm always the butt of all of these jokes. I am always, dude, there's a great, you should check this out, Russell, if you're not already on Twitter. There's a Twitter account, Sean, you'll like this too, where it's, I think it's called White Guys Are Stupid in Commercials. And it goes through and it just goes through all the new commercials that came out that week. And in any of them where there's some guy as a boob in the commercial, it's usually a white guy. Sometimes it'll be a black guy, but if it is, the superior person is never a white man. It's usually his wife, like trying to wrangle the stupid idiot husband who's doing something stupid in the driveway or breaking something in the garage. And yeah, I'm tired of it too. And Russell, you brought up Obama. This we'll never get a real discussion on this because it's so tinged with both race and politics. But Obama really was in a unique position to end the scourge of racism in this country. And I remember I first recognized this with Trayvon Martin, where there was a press conference that was going to come up. And you had the guy who was called white, but he was Hispanic, he's Afro-Peruvian, accused of killing a young black child at the time. And he came out and he said, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon. And I knew things were going to get worse because Barack Obama wasn't black. He's half black, half white. He's in a unique position where he's one of the few people in this country who could have come out and bridged the gap right there. And he could have said, yeah, if I had a son, he could have looked like Trayvon. If I had a son with someone else, with a white lady, it could have looked like George Zimmerman. He had a chance to say, I could have had a son that looked like either one of those. He could have related to both sides. He could have brought us together. But they can't do that. Why? Because black people vote 90% in favor of Democrats, and they can't afford to lose that voting block. That is their lock on power. So now instead of solving race and burying the hatchet and bringing us together, they have to keep us divided, and they have to keep us the hated ones. So black people, Hispanic people, and white liberals are all skeptical of you and me based on this lie of racism. And that's why they keep it going. And I know it and you know it. And I think they know it. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. More calls on the Grand Prairie guy that got shot by cops next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Now I want to talk to homeowners there. This is the time when fall's coming around, so you actually want to work on your house. You can go outside and not be drenched in sweat after 5 minutes of doing anything. So when you're looking at sprucing up your home, what about painting your bricks? What about, here's something better. What about coating your bricks? James Parker here for Rhino Shield, rhinoshieldDFW.com. That's what all the cool kids are doing these days. Miss Parker's talking about it, so I might have to do it soon. You take a house that has the bricks that make it look old. There's that sort of Brady Bunch color of bricks, you know, that sort of Welcome Back Kotter look of bricks. And if you want it to look like a new house, not some old fuddy-duddy house, coat your bricks. Some people are painting them, but that's a bad idea because some paint and some bricks don't mix and you can cause it to rot or mess up the mortar or whatever. Rhino Shield, much better for your bricks than paint. Plus, it'll last longer. How long? We don't even know yet because the technology's so new. We know it'll last at least 25 years because that's how long we've been doing Rhino Shield. And it's not chipping, it's not peeling, it's not cracking. It has insulative properties. It blocks UV rays. It comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. And you can get financing. The bank won't give you a loan on paint, will they? So check it out. If you're looking to spruce up your home, don't paint your house, coat your home. Go to rhinoshieldDFW.com. Look, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this issue with purging the people who are absolute ghouls online about Charlie Kirk. If you're just joining the show, I'm referencing Governor Abbott, the great state of Texas, is investigating over 150 complaints made to the Texas Education Agency. Late last week, the Texas Education Agency just put a letter out to superintendents, but they made it public saying, hey, we've been getting reports of people acting inappropriate and saying things that are not acceptable for a public school teacher regarding the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk. If you see anything that might be questionable, let us know. We'll look into it. So then he tweeted yesterday, yeah, we've got over 180 reports. We're going through them. Anyone found to have been acting inappropriately, not only will they be fired, they'll be put on the list to not work in Texas again. There's a certification process for Texas, and then there's also like the do not hire list once you have your certification. I don't know why they need both. You'd think they could take the certification away and that would do it, but apparently huge chunks of our teaching staff isn't certified too. So that's another different issue for a different day. And I am loving it. Now, I'm loving it, which means Team Blue must be hating it, right? Yes. Yes, they do. Go to WFAA.com. And while I was praising them for some of their great reporting earlier in the show, one of their writers lost me. He's over here writing about how the Abilene ISD superintendent posted a rant complaining about the state of public education in Texas. And really a big chunk of it has to do with some of this newly passed legislation that just went into effect this month. And it was sort of a grievance session that rolled in a few things. Let me go through some of the grievances here. He laments the idea that teachers are going to be required to catalog every book in their classrooms. And I agree that more regulation, generally speaking, is worse. But if the state is going to seize control of education, then the state can regulate it however they want. And you know what? If it runs afoul of your political preferences, I mean, I guess too bad. Why don't you believe what I believe? Get rid of public education. People can send their kids to whatever school they want. And maybe some schools catalog all their books. Maybe some schools are willy-nilly with their books. But the problem is the prepaid government monopoly. Again, different argument for a different day. But dealing with the situation we have as it is now, we have public schools. I'm in a prepaid government monopoly. All 4 of my kids go to public school. And I'm okay with being required to catalog every book in your classroom because we have learned that we can't trust teachers to not have a catalog of books that they are putting in front of our children. There's been a horrible, repeated pattern of obscene, sexually charged material, totally inappropriate for younger ages, being put in front of our kids. So without cataloging every book in the classrooms, how will we know if the new laws trying to prevent that are even enforceable? A new bill says that nurses can't provide health care and counselors can't provide any emotional support without a written permission slip from parents. There's a little bit of leeway on that. Of course, if your kid comes in with a bleeding knee, they can put a Band-Aid on it. But we know what that's about. Why? Because we have seen, especially in other states, nurses and counselors who are just providing emotional support. And now all of a sudden, your kid grows up and hates Charlie Kirk. He's griping about another bill that says school administrators who work on the side have to be a little more, that's submit extra paperwork. If not, they get fined. But a lot of this was easily recognized as some people saying, listen, he's just making gripes about everything Republicans have done with education. This is a blanket partisan post. And so, look, and it was just a post from Friday morning. It's already gotten thousands of shares, hundreds of comments. If you want to read the full post, it's linked on WFAA.com. But you can find him, Dr. John Kuhn. And I'm not saying a slur. His last name is Kuhn. Thank you very much, people who like to complain. But the thing he seems to be most outraged about is some of his teachers are called demons. He says they're called demons, which is one of the words the parents highlighted and took offense to. But I'm sorry, I think we all learned that some of our teachers are demons. Some of our teachers, yes, some teachers make mistakes and they assign books to 15-year-olds that are only appropriate for, I guess, 17-year-olds. And that's not what we're all upset about. We're all upset about the just parade of teachers that are sleeping with our students or hitting on our students or sending them inappropriate pictures. We're kind of ticked about that. We're kind of ticked about the teachers that are celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We're kind of upset about the teachers who push ideologies that we would not agree with on our kids. And we're not real happy with teachers trying to have secret sex conversations behind their parents' backs with children. There's a lot of terrible things that teachers have done. Now, most teachers are fine, of course. I guess I have to say that. I think that's kind of self-evident, seeing as how my sister's a teacher. I have 2 aunts that are teachers. Of course, not all teachers are bad. But if we hadn't had problems with teachers acting inappropriately, we wouldn't be putting in new measures to trying to curtail said activity now, would we? If you don't want more teachers, if you want to get parents off your back, if you don't want more oversight, stop showing obscene materials to minor children. Stop teaching elementary kids about butt stuff. How about that? How about you stop sleeping with our kids, sending them nude pictures and having threesomes with them? Go to Texas Scorecard. They have the whole bad apple section. There have been not dozens, hundreds of teacher sex scandals over the last 3 years. Hundreds. You'll hear about every church sex scandal, but most of these you haven't heard about. And all of these are in Texas, some of them in your own backyard. So no, you don't get a whole lot of sympathy from me, Mr. Politically Partisan Abilene Superintendent. In fact, I hope you draw enough attention to yourself that you get voted out next time there's an election. Because I'm hoping the parents in Texas are just about done with this. I am going to do this story tomorrow. Of course, there's going to be Charlie Kirk updates and there's going to be other stories. But somewhere in there, I am bringing you some serious discussion of what happened in Godley. Do y'all know Godley? It's just the town that's a little bit south of here. It was a volleyball game where they were playing, I think it was in Hillsboro, which nice gym, by the way, Hillsboro. Not very big, but I like the way you painted the floor. That looks awesome. And there's accusations of a racial slur being thrown out there. Now, before I play this, I want you to know that most of the players on the Godley team look white. The video's from really far away, so it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, I guess they could be Hispanic maybe, or maybe really light skin or something. But it looked like they only had 2 players on their team that were black. And I'm not sure if Hillsboro had any on their side of the net that was black. And so I just thought that was important context for when you hear this report from WFAA.
It was a tight match from the start.
We were going back and forth.
The first district varsity volleyball game between Elias Cephas's Hillsboro Eagles and the Godley Wildcats. Last Tuesday, the Godley crowd was loud, but that's not what caught Hillsboro parent Natalie Rhea off guard.
But when I heard it, it just kind of shot through me is this really happening?
In the third set, Cephas was serving when Rhea heard it. She went back to rewatch the game. There it was again. We counted 4 different monkey noises while different athletes were serving. Cephas's mom, Danita Jackson, says there's only one way to take that.
I think the intention was to distract her and to make fun of her race.
Rhea reached out to Godley immediately, but wasn't happy with the response. She says they called it a learning experience.
We reached out to Godley school administrators. They refused to sit down with us for an on-camera interview. They say they had a lively student cheering section for that game, acknowledging some animal noises were part of that. They say it was not directed toward any particular student, and it was not racially motivated.
Have you ever been to a game where that was a standard chant?
No.
Of course not.
Monkey noises.
Godley did investigate in a statement saying an administrator was at the game and confirmed she observed nothing inappropriate in the chants or behavior. Jackson has her own take on those findings.
Maybe they don't understand because they're of the other race and it's not their race. So if they
white
can just
people
give
can't
a formal
understand.
apology and let's move forward from it.
Hillsboro.
By the way, that's a racist statement. Yeah, these people, I'm making a judgment about them based solely on the color of their skin. They are unable to understand things that I can understand. Not based on her lived experience, but just color of their skin. Kind of racist right there. Hang on.
Investigated too, saying admin talked to Godley, but will leave what happens next up to them.
Whether it was their intention or not, it still happened. And there is a negative connotation with that noise. And so I just want to bring awareness and let them know, this is not appropriate. We don't need to be doing this going forward.
Yeah, Brittany, we heard from Hillsboro in your piece. Have you heard from any of the Godley students sitting in the stands that day?
I did. I talked to one student who says it was a joke, meant to be a distraction. We asked him what the school did after the fact. He says the football coach talked to them, but didn't say not to do it, though he says they probably won't. We reached back out to the district with that information. A spokesperson says admin officials did talk to some students, maybe not that student.
Do we even know if it was racially motivated? They said it was done 4 different times. Only 2 of the players are black. So if they're making the same noise at white and black players, it doesn't seem like to be a race-specific noise. All right. That is so lame, so weak. This is what you got? This is what you got. Because on my side, you're shooting at us. On my side, we're getting stabbed in the train. Our kids are getting shot while they're praying in mass. Our thought leaders are getting shot for answering questions at the quad on a university campus. You found some animal noises that some minor child made to some people that could be construed as racist. And it's a news story. You know how important it is to take up 3 minutes of a newscast? You only have 22 minutes of actual news time between the commercials and the intro and the outro and brought to you by in the credits. That's like more than 10% of their broadcast. Really? That important? Someone may have made some animal noises that could be interpreted by other people as racist. Oh, we'll talk about this tomorrow. But go check it out yourself and prepare for a lively discussion on tomorrow's show. That's going to do it for our time today. Thank you very much for hanging out. Mark Levin's coming up next. In the meantime, if you need more Jam Show action, check out the podcast, WBAP.com and the WBAP app. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.